Greetings, families and friends of Baltimore City Public Schools. My name is Harold Young IV, and I'm a Family Engagement Specialist here in the Office of Engagement. And today, the Family University would like to inform you more about School Family and Community Councils, also known as SFC Councils. We want our families to know why they're important and the benefits to being involved. So for today, we'll be hosting a panel discussion to drive home the importance of SFC Council and how it benefits our families. To help us out with this, I have my colleague, Shar Hollingsworth, with me, who will give us a little bit more on SFC Council.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching. School Family Community Council is a key decision-making and advocacy body in every single Baltimore City public school. So to talk a little bit about it, I'm going to share my screen and share a couple graphics that will really help deliver the information. So School Family Community Councils, it brings together key stakeholders that are involved in the life of a school, which I'm going to talk a little bit about who those key stakeholders are. But really, this body is aimed at improving 4 key areas: academic achievement, attendance, school climate and culture, and strengthening family and community partnerships. So SFC councils are meeting every month or every other month to discuss these 4 areas and really bring together the funds of knowledge of every single person that believes in a school and is invested in the school. And so those key stakeholders, which involve families, families are an extremely important part of those stakeholder groups, of that stakeholder group. So this is a visual to help us to see who is required to be represented on an SFC council. You will notice the only difference between these 2 images are the number of students at the bottom. So elementary schools are required to have 1 student, middle and high schools are required to have 2 students. Because it is very important that we hear from young people on the decisions that are impacting them and being made in schools every single day. I'm going to run through these required stakeholders real quick before we get to our panelists. But on every SFC council, it is required that we have a chairperson, the principal, a BTU rep, 2 teachers, 2 student support staff providers that are folks like social workers, speech pathologists, psychologists, classified staff, which can be secretaries, custodial staff, 2 community partners, a paraprofessional, 3 parents, and 1 or 2 students, depending on if it's an elementary or middle or high school. So families, as you see, your role in this is extremely important. We could not make decisions and should not be making decisions without you. So hopefully, as you watch the panel, you get a sense of how you can get involved in your School Family Community Council at your school. I will hand it back to you, Harold.
All right, thank you so much, Shar. And so now we want to introduce our panelists. So panelists, go ahead and take it away. Let people know who you are.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Euclid Homer Winfield, and I am at Furley Elementary School, and I am the SFC Council Chair. And I'm pleased to be a part of this panel.
Hey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Kenny. I am a parent of a 3rd grader at Cherry Hill Elementary. I'm on the organized parent group, and I'm also a member of the Family Service Community Council.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, team. My name is Rayshawn Moore. I'm at Youth Opportunity Academy and Career Academy. I am the School Family Council Chair for both schools.
All right, thank you for sharing. Thank you. So let's just jump right into it. This first question is for everyone, all right? And the question is, what made you decide to join your school's SFC Council?
Okay, I decided to join when I was working on my admin 1, and I had to find a need at my school, some way that I can be involved and take on that administrative lead position. So at my school, School Family Council wasn't very active. So I decided that, that is an area that I can build on. I can take on that leadership role and help my school, be more actively involved in it. So that's how I began, which was probably about, it's been a few years. But that's when I started. That's when I decided.
My reason for joining was because I am new to the area of Cherry Hill. Me and my children moved here from over by the City Springs area. I first was introduced to the organized parent group at a back to school event. And within being in the organized parent group, there was mention of the Family School Council. So one day I just decided to show up to a meeting, and I received very, very resourceful information for my family, and just information about the different resources that's in my community that I'm now new to. So the Family School Council, I'm sorry, really helped me to understand my neighborhood and things that were beneficial to my family.
All right, for me, more or less a job description, but part of my role as the community school coordinator at both through Elevate Baltimore at both Youth Opportunity and Career Academy is to support in the School Family and Community Council. But one thing I will say really that pushed my work and pushed the strength of our councils is what it came from. Neither council was at its strongest point. I believe as we progressed, we became our strongest point. There wasn't a lot of student involvement or parent involvement in the previous years we've had the council. But this year, I just wanted to see more student voice be seen, more parent voice be inputted, especially at a high school level. That's not always the most appreciated factor or known factor. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for sharing. And next up, this question once again is for everybody. And the question is, what has been the most rewarding part of being on the SFC Council?
For me, the most rewarding part is working with the school staff and getting more community stakeholders involved. We are working, it's like a work in progress. Each year, we're trying to get more community stakeholders. So just being able to see that the school staff is working together and, just trying to come together to, service the school for meeting those 4 areas that we talk about, that she'll talk about at the beginning.
For me, it's very important because as a new family in this area, there was very little resources that was provided just in the neighborhood. You really didn't know about resources that was given to people that's in the Cherry Hill community until I became a part of the Family School Council. I was introduced to Cherry Hill Strong. This is a program that helps with resources in the community, specifically for Cherry Hill residents. I was also introduced to food pantries and things that just were really of need at a time where I didn't know anyone. So the council basically kind of brought a new home to my family, and it kind of embraced us, even though because we were new, and it just made it more welcoming to understand, okay, I'm not alone. I can reach out to my children's school, and I can also receive information that can help build me and my family, and also just to be able to provide different things in the community that's needed.
For me, it's a positively loaded question. I have never been to a meeting and said I enjoyed the meeting. Like in all of my work in city schools, in Algebra Project, and Elevate, I've never went to a meeting and said I enjoyed the meeting. I can honestly say every school family council meeting includes majority of our stakeholders with like maybe the random absentee. And we all walk away and say, that was a really good meeting. Because there's so much progress that's held. You get the input of all of the stakeholders that you wouldn't necessarily see on the day-to-day. Like I see my students every day, but I don't see my parents every day. I don't see my partners every day. but getting that space to like, hey, what are your updates? What are things you want to bring to the table to better support the community? And then being someone who has grown out of the communities I serve, I feel like I am part of the change I want to see. And it's just refreshing to notice and see like little me walking around saying, hey, I'm gonna make this change. And then seeing the kids like, hey, Mr. Ray, like I'm all for it. I love this. Like, when's the next one? I think they just come for the food, but they enjoy the meeting just as much, and they definitely are active participants in the meeting.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Our next question is for our parent representative, Ms. Kenny. And the question is, what do you feel are the benefits of being on FCFC Council?
Well, I feel as though my benefits personally that I've experienced from being on the council, I really felt as though my voice was heard on a deeper level. I had some challenges with my daughter when she first transferred over, with us being in a new area and her not knowing anyone. And she kind of had some like social issues as far as with people kind of not being so nice to her. But once I was able to get in with the family council, I was able to get directed to the different resources of people that was able to put me in the right directions to get the assistance that I needed to be able to help my child to adapt in a new space. I was also able to speak one-on-one with her teachers to try to find a solution that we could, just try to make her comfortable and just, try to get them to understand her as a new student. I also was able to voice my opinion about I know that we have a transfer program for the younger students that comes over to middle school. And I was able to voice my opinion about maybe having that type of transfer program for all transfer students, to where as though that they could kind of like have a buddy or someone that they can shadow that can, let them be able to kind of meet their first friend per se, and also help them just get, acquainted with everything. I'm sorry. And it was just so refreshing to be able to voice my opinion and not be shunned away because I'm a parent and not a staff member. So I just really appreciate that any input that I have or any questions that I have, the family service, the family school council has every time went over and beyond to make sure that things were clarified for me, and also let me know that any help that I needed was there and available.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Mary. And it just makes me think of families are the experts on their children, right? Nobody knows your child better than the parent. And so you partnering with the school to resolve issues for your daughter, and then being able to share your experience of like, this is what it was like for me as I transferred here. This would maybe help other families and other children. Like, that is invaluable. And that is, I just want to highlight, like, that is the work of School Family Community Council. And that is why we cannot do it without families. We just can't do it without families. So any family listening, like this, we truly, truly need and want your input and your experience. So thank you for sharing that, Miss Mary.
Of course, no problem.
Hey, Miss Mary, stay right there because we have another question for you. And this one is like a two-parter. All right. So the first part is, what are the challenges for getting involved in the SFC Council? And the second part is, what advice would you give to school leaders about making it more accessible for families to get involved? And if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know.
Okay. I did have a few struggles. I didn't know about the family school council until I was in the organized parent group. So there is talk about it, but there wasn't really advertisement, or it was like there was advertisement, but there wasn't a lot of clarification to go with the advertisement. So it was like, okay, we have this, but it didn't let you know, okay, meetings are this time, or a schedule or anything. It kind of was like a pop-up type of situation where it was like, okay, we're having a family service, family school community council meeting. And it was just, I was like, hey, let me just go and see what it's about. It piqued your interest because, it was like, what is this council meeting about? So it definitely, that was my reason for going. But there wasn't really a lot of talk about it, unless you were in different types of programs that were already running. And then it was spoken about then. So before I got in the organized parent group, I didn't have no idea at all about any type of groups, any type of resources. And I just felt as though with everything that's provided in that group, I feel as though it should have been more accessible to families. I think it should have been put more on the list as in a group that would be helpful for families, because just with my experience, it's solely for families. So that's a really important factor that I think should be introduced early on, like in the school year, or just mentioned of, okay, we do have this as an outlet, for you to be able to be heard. And the second part, I think it should have been, we do have, like, I'm very active with Class Dojo that we have on our, the app that we have. At Cherry Hill, we are fortunate to have robocalls, where Principal Guzman sends out the robocalls and gives us the announcements and things. I do think that at some of the frequent areas in our neighborhood, I think should have some type of advertisement, or at least just some mention of, speak with your child's school, about how to find out these type of resources. Because before, when I first moved in this neighborhood, I was familiar with the shopping areas because I had to provide food and stuff. But I didn't know anything about the school. And then my daughter was going to another school outside of Cherry Hill. So until I had to transfer her at Cherry Hill, I had no access to no information whatsoever about Cherry Hill. So once I was able to get into the school, it opened up the door for me to be able to see, oh, we have, programs here to help with this. We have programs here to help with that. And I have a younger child. And with me going into Cherry Hill, I was able to find information about schools for him.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it definitely came full circle, but it wasn't until I was able to get communication from the school council.
All right. All right. Next up, we have a question for our two chair members. And that question is, what would you like to tell families about the impact they can have on SFC council, or the importance of their involvement on SFC councils?
I would definitely like to follow up with what Ms. Kenny said, that to just let them know that their voice truly matters, and it is important that they become involved in the council, in the school family council, so that when they have challenges similar to what Ms. Kenny talked about, they can let the school know. And also, like what changes and events and just things that are happening in the school. I think it really, helps them when they are involved and being a part of it, to hear that firsthand from, because the principal is a part of this council. So hearing it from, like they say, the horse's mouth, exactly what's going on. And, you can ask questions at that time and express your concerns. So it really is an important part, they have their voice. It's important on this committee.
Okay.
For me specifically, I would say being in an alternative environment, And the impact is even more substantially necessary. Having to break some context down, an alternative environment for overage undercredited students or students who just didn't fit in the traditional schooling environment. I would say there are 24 hours in a day. We only have our student from five at max 9 hours. In that short amount of time, we don't know what happens for the rest for our students. So we want to make sure they're rapidly connected to whatever resource they need. So having that parent present, having that guardian, that family member, whatever it may be, present to advocate for that student can be the most substantial thing. That thing is a thing that is saving our kids. Unfortunately, we have lost a lot of our students this year. I do feel like a lot of it can be avoided if we are all in, if we are all active, and we are all trying to find the resources for our students. The importance of this involvement is just, if we want to see our students succeed, if we want to see our schools thrive, we must all put our hands in the pot. This is a all together process. I've seen what our school family council looked like when it was 2 members. I've seen what it looked like when it was 9 members. The difference is impactful. That's the difference between a good meeting and one of those boring meetings. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
I feel all that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have another question for our chairs, and that is, what decisions are being made in council meetings that families should know about, or what decisions are being made that families should be more involved in? So once again, what decisions are being made in council meetings that families should know about, or what decisions are being made that families should be more involved in?
Some of the decisions, which is a really big one, is the school yearly budget and how those funds are spent. That's when some of the decisions are made there. What do we want to, how do we want to spend that money? What are some of the resources, that we want our students to have for the upcoming year? And at that time, you want to be involved with, where the money is, so that way, when the next school year comes, it's like, okay, we wanted this, and this, but we didn't get it. No one said those were needs or resources that we wanted. So I think that's a really, that's a biggie for me, and making sure that families understand that, hey, we want to know what you want at our school, right? I guess another one, like I said earlier, was having a chance to hear them, when you come to these monthly meetings, the principal shares the school district updates and, things that are happening at the district level. You get to hear it from the principal, because that's one of the things I asked them, like, okay, so what are some updates that you want to share at this meeting? And she would tell us. So when you attend those meetings, you also get to hear what's happening at the district level and how it's impacting the school. So just being a part of that meeting, those are some of the decisions that are being made. So
Okay.
that's what I would say.
All right.
I would say, similar to Ms. Winfield, money, like put your money where your mouth is. This is where your mouth can be in the money. These are the conversations where we talk about the needs assessment that just rolled around a few months ago. This is where we talk about resources for the community, resources for the schools. How do we become better community schools for those that apply in that field? How do we become just better schools as a whole? What are some issues students may have and that they need at the smaller level and the larger scale levels? One bigger piece is like the school performance plans that the principals work on. That's where we take insight for that. So the school performance plan is what the principal projects their goals are for the remainder of the school year. And that may flex and adjust as time goes on, but you can see those academic goals, those community goals, those family and community engagement goals all in that school family council meeting. This is where we recruit new partners, like, hey, look, I need a partner from here. This is where the network, you can see that networking. This is where you can adjust to that networking.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I have one final question for everybody, throwing y'all a slight curveball. Say I'm a parent right now. Give me your pitch for me to join SFC Council.
Yes, convince them.
Yeah, that is a curveball. Yeah, well, I would say, do you have any concerns as a parent, and do you feel that all the needs that your school is providing your needs at this moment? And if not, what do you want to do about it? Because the School Family Council is one of the places that would hear your needs, and you have, as a parent, you have that right to be a part of that community. And we, as that council, and we need you there because, you know, your voice matters. So.
Okay, I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. Maybe two other pitches might convince me, you know?
Well, I'm going to speak from a parent that was convinced to come. So I would just let them know that sometimes as parents, we kind of feel as outsiders because we're just bringing our kids into a building with people that are, you guys as staff members are a community within itself. So I just felt as though going into that family school community council meeting would let you kind of feel as if you're part of the community and that school family. They always have great food, as if Mr. Moore said. So it's almost as if like you're having, you know, dinner with your extended family, and you get to talk about, you know, things that are going on in the community and in your school, and you can, you know, try to figure out ways and new things that can bring more resources to everyone.
Okay, I'm 2/3 of the way there. I think one more pitch, I might be in.
How you doing, Mr. Young? I know you like food. So my first pitch is always food. Food will get you there, and then the conversation will get you engaged. I've never met a parent, a staff member, an administrator that didn't want to change something, whether it was their students' behavior, whether it was the student as a whole, whether it was the fact that we don't have air in some of our buildings. This is the space where we can make those changes, where you can be a part of those. You can be the person with the pen. You are the person making that change. Mm-hmm. This is your time to make that change. If you want to fall back and you want to just let things ride, go for it. But my recommendation is always, I want to lead something. I want to be a part of the change. But, you know, if you're not really interested in helping the school, you let me know. But this is space. See you on Wednesday.
Hey, you know what? I think those pitches convinced me, and I hope my family's out there watching that these pitches convince you as well. It's super important to be involved, as you heard here. And I just want to say thank you to our panelists today. Thank you for taking the time to speak and to show families the importance of SFC Council. But before we go, I want to pass it to my colleague, Shar, one more time to talk to us about any next steps or ways, you know, to get involved, or just general information that is relevant.
Thank you so much. And thank you, panelists. This interview, this panel is going to go viral. So we're going to reach the 80,000 approximately students that we have enrolled. All of their families and our SFC councils are going to be packed. So thank you for your time. Just a little bit of information. And I just want to remind folks, so when we think about SFC councils and school-based decision-making, it is rooted in the principle and the belief that folks that have expertise about a decision, are impacted by a decision, and have to carry out a decision should be involved in the decision-making. So that truly, families, that is you. And so we truly do need and want your involvement, your voices, your ideas in our school system. We need it. So stay tuned for more Family Universities. We'll be talking more and more about how you can get involved. If you are watching this and you're like, oh, cool, I would like to attend an SFC council meeting. Ask your school leader when your next SFC council meeting is. Ask who your chair is. Talk to whoever it is, that that you have a relationship with at the school, if it's an organized parent group, just ask about SFC Council. That really is the first step. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I will put my email address in the notes, and you can reach out to Mr. Young as well, and we're glad to support you to reach the designated people at your school that run the SFC Council. And then just get involved. If you are a family member that has ideas about barriers, how to address barriers, if you want to be involved in the planning of how to reach more families, we would also welcome that. So reach out to us. And we are just happy to be involved. And thank you again, panelists.
Yes, thank you once again to our panelists. Thank you, Shar, as well. And thank you, families, for watching. And just wanted to let you know that we have more Family University offerings coming. There'll be more content on SFC councils and a variety of other topics that we feel are necessary for families to know so that you can all be involved in your students' learning. And with that being said, thank you all for your time. Y'all have a great day.